So I guess my question is to you guys: what is it like playing in Korea and waiting 7 months between each raid tier?
Very repetitive. I mean, imagine doing Braille. We've been doing Braille for um 2 years now almost, right? On our alts as well. And the Kayangil came out. They said they're gonna increase the gold on it, so we thought we would be able to drop Braille for Kayangil, which would be a lot more easier and casual. But they gave us gold, but it was like half of what you would earn in Braille, so we couldn't get out of it. So it was just getting really repetitive, and people just want, new content. Like, we don't want to do the same thing over and over and over again. And what I think in Luan, what people were most worried about was that the cadence. It looked like they gave us like a vibe that this is going to be the way it is from now on. Like the slow cadence every 7 months or 6 months, maybe one Legion raid and then an Abyssal raid in 1 year. So that's what
Mm.
people were mostly worried about in the Luan. So it
And
just gets really repetitive and we want new things.
You know
my,
what's crazy though? Coming from like I played so many MMOs growing up, and
Mm.
I'm just so used to the idea that like 6 months is like a
Yeah.
normal amount of time for a new raid to come out. But like
Hmm.
Albert, you were playing during during like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
golden age
Played a
of
lot of
Lost Ark.
MMOs.
You remember, but you remember with Lost Ark, Vulcan, Vicus, Clown, Brell, they were like 2 months apart from each
Yeah,
other.
they were 1 or 2 months apart. So I
You,
came,
yeah,
yeah,
you came in around this time, right, with your
yeah,
friends.
yeah. I came
Uh,
around this time for Bro, so we were playing like you were so motivated to play to catch up to the latest raid, right?
Right. Talk about your experience real fast when you started playing the game, because you started during all that raid stuff. Progression wasn't the easiest yet at this point. They didn't implement a lot of the features yet that made
Mm-mm.
honing easier. So you went through the process. Some of you and your friends wailed a little bit, some of you didn't. But what was it like going through Vulcan, Vicus, Clown, Brell in that like 8 month period?
So that's when like most of the streamers just got into the game, and then the streamers just gather up and then just do try parties for Valton and stuff. We take like 10 hours each, like Valton 10 hours, like Vicus 10 hours, and Clown just takes like 10 hours. Those kind of days where everyone just has fun and everything.
Hmm.
The progression itself, you couldn't progress unless you swipe. That was one thing too. If I wanted to get to my main character, the bro, I had to swipe. But that's how Korean games work. If you want to push faster, you have to pay. That's how it works. It's pay to progress. And if I wanted to go to bro faster than others, within the time being, that's what I needed to do. And then when bro was there, we kept playing bro, and then my alts kept getting to bro level, and then we just into like have this big ass roster where it just generates gold itself, right? And then when you just keep on playing for a year, you don't know what eye level Khan's gonna be. You don't know when Kangyo came out. Kangyo was on top of those 3 raids, so the number of hours needed to play was like 9 plus a day, right? Just to keep
Jesus.
everything done. This is like not even including Guardians and daily, so
Yeah,
it decreased a little bit.
so
Yeah,
when you started the game, it started off as a little bit casual, but before you knew it, you
exactly.
had like this insane
Yeah,
roster that was doing a
yeah,
bunch of things,
it's
and then like
it,
then
exactly.
every couple months you had a new raid. Well, coming from like other games before this, I'm so
Uh-huh.
used to the idea that like 6 7 months for like a new raid, that's actually not an outrageous thing. That's
It's not. It's
perfectly
not.
That's
normal.
pretty good. Yeah.
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 It's good.
Mm.
You know,
So
the crazy
yeah.
thing is, I think in the 2021 low on winter, um, Gold River was still on the project at this point, and he actually said something which, at the time of, it was a very endearing message. This was during the time where this was right after Hardbell came out in Korea. And there was like a lot of controversies associated with player burnout because the raids were coming out too fast at that point, which sounds like a wild concept. But Smilegate had to apologize because they were making raids too fast because players
Yeah.
were they were upset about that. So during that low on winter, Gold River said, this next year we're going to work on expanding the game and creating more content depth, and we're going to slow down on raids a little bit. For the players that are playing this game as a raid game, you might get bored, and so what I recommend to you is that you just go play something else in the meantime, which is what Yoshi P said for his
About
players
Final
in Final
Fantasy.
Fantasy. Yeah, because that game is structured. At the time of it was very endearing, but we look back in retrospect now and we realize, as nice of a sentiment as it was, you can't actually do that, because if you go play something else and come back, well, progression is essentially time gated unless you swipe. So the message actually didn't really make much sense looking back now.
That's so bitch
Yeah.
lied, bro.
So this is talking about existing players, right? As in unprogressing, not like new players, correct? Because they're two different categories. Before we talk about it, the thing is, this is the same case for any Korean games. Is let's say I take a break, unless you're like, let's say Zeus, because he's already max eye level, right? Let's say you're progressing, let's say F2P, like you're grinding a lot of hours into it. If I take a break right now, and before Theomine comes out, let's say a week before, I can't go. That's the truth of the Korean MMOs, because of power inflation, right? Because when you progress and when people get stronger, they have the greed of keeping whatever they have forever. Like, they don't want to lose it, right? And they always fight for that. So when a new player comes in, there's this big walls to climb, and all they do is just like going through walls and walls and walls and walls and stuff. Makes them not want to do it. This is including me, where if I take a break for like a month and I come back, there's no other options than swiping, because I can't catch up, because I didn't do Chaos Dungeon for like 2 weeks, because the reward that you get it is so high. And that's also because since I'm this much stronger, I should be this much stronger than this bozo because I just grinded, right? Like, these kind of thought process is like it's in there, like it's in there, and it's like a culture there too.
On that topic, though, during the live stream yesterday, they mentioned Thaymine's item level. Thaymine's going to release on September 13th in Korea. Normal mode is 1610, and hard mode is 1630. That sounds really high, but actually that's plus 17 for normal mode and plus 21 for hard
21,
mode,
yeah.
which is lower than what previous raids, Akan and Brelshaza, actually required to enter on day one. We actually think that originally this was higher, but they might have lowered it to make it more accessible and for more people to be potentially appeased, because less
To access the new vertical stuff.
either
there's a
less
lot of
grinding or
people.
less swiping to enter it.
I think
it's
there's a
also-
lot of people in NA that's already ready for Thermite normal. Almost.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
Here's the thing though. I was talking about